In this video, this is a sad story. A beautiful little girl lost her life due to her 13-year-old brother. They were trying to get her 13-year-old brother and ended up getting hurt. They shut up the house 230 times. It says the fire 230 rounds into the house. A 9-year-old was shot in her sleep. So his beautiful daughter was shot in her sleep. The sibling sister was shot in her sleep. They came to the house and shot the house 230 rounds. So we're going to react to the story.
Oh, return yourself in.
Yeah, my baby deserves
She deserves
justice.
to finish her life with and I pray that she does
She
deserve
was
it.
innocent.
She deserves it.
230 bullets in my home where my kids lay their heads. I work hard to provide for mine. And it just tore my family apart.
A grieving family in Flint mourning the loss of their daughter. 9-year-old Tahari Knox died after being shot while sleeping in her home in Flint. More than 230 bullets ravaged that house.
Her mother tucked her children in that night. She turned off the lights, said goodnight, and went to bed believing her family was safe. By 2 in the morning, her 9-year-old daughter was gone. Not from illness, not from an accident, from over 200 bullets fired into her home while she slept. Think about that number for a second. 230 rounds, tearing through walls, through windows, through the bedroom where children were sleeping. This was not a stray bullet. This was not a mistake. Someone chose that house. Someone chose that street. And a little girl named Tahari Trinity Knox paid for it with her life. She was 9 years old. She had done absolutely nothing wrong. Flint, Michigan has carried a heavy weight for a long time. Most people know it from the water crisis that made international headlines. A city that was failed by the very systems meant to protect it. But beyond the headlines, Flint is a place of real people, real families, and real communities trying to hold things together in a city that has seen more than its fair share of pain. The west side of Flint, where the Knox family lived, sits just blocks from Mott Park, one of the city's most recognizable green spaces running along the Flint River. On most nights, Altoona Street was quiet, residential, the kind of block where families knew each other, where kids played outside, where life moved at a normal pace. Tyree Knox and Alexis Smith were raising their children in that home. Tahari was their 9-year-old, described by everyone who knew her as happy, full of life, the kind of child whose smile you remembered. She shared her nights with her 12-year-old sister, Allison. Her teenage brother also lived in the home. By all accounts, this was a family living an ordinary life on an ordinary street. Nothing about what happened to them was ordinary. Just before 2 in the morning, the neighborhood was dead quiet. Most residents were asleep. The Knox household was asleep. Tahari and Allison were upstairs together. Their parents were in the home. The teenage brother was there too. Then it started. Neighbors would later describe what they heard as fireworks at first. The rapid, overlapping sound of what seemed like celebration gone wrong. But this was no celebration. Multiple shooters had pulled up to the family's home on Altoona Street, and what they unleashed onto that house was something most people only see in war footage. 230 rounds. Let that number sit with you. Because when investigators later walked through that scene, bullets had gone everywhere. Through the front of the house, through the walls, into the rooms where children were sleeping. The structure itself looked like it had been through combat. Glass, holes, debris. A home that had been someone's safe place, reduced to a crime scene in under 2 minutes. The family believes the shooters were not there for Tahari. They were not there for Allison. They were not even there for the parents. According to the family, whoever fired those shots was looking for the teenage brother. Whether it was a dispute, a rivalry, or something else entirely. The details of why have not been fully confirmed publicly. What is confirmed is that the people who came to that house that night did not care who else was inside. They did not slow down. They did not stop, they just kept firing. And upstairs in the dark, a 9-year-old girl was hit. Tihari was upstairs with her sister Allison when the bullets came through. There was no warning, no time to run, no time to hide. One moment they were asleep, and the next, the walls around them were being torn apart by gunfire. Allison, 12 years old, was hit. She was critically wounded, injuries serious enough that her survival was not guaranteed in those first hours. But she held on. Tihari did not make it out of that room the same way she went in. She was struck, and the people inside that house, her parents, her family, had to make the kind of decision no parent should ever face in the middle of the night. They got her out. They rushed her to Hurley Medical Center, which sits just a few miles from the west side and serves as the region's primary trauma center. The staff there are no strangers to gun violence. Flint has sent them too many cases over the years. But for Tihari, there was nothing more they could do. She was pronounced dead, a 9-year-old girl in a hospital in the middle of the night, because someone decided that firing 230 bullets into a residential home was an acceptable way to handle whatever problem they had. Her sister survived. Her brother was unharmed. But Tihari, the youngest, the one who had done nothing, the one who was simply in her bed, was gone.
230 bullets in my home where my kids lay their heads. I work hard to provide for mine. And it just tore my family apart.
A grieving family in Flint mourning the loss of their daughter. 9-year-old Tihari Knox died after being shot while sleeping in her home in Flint. More than 230 bullets ravaged that house. TV5's James Felton joins us. James, you spoke to them and they want justice for their daughter, but they also have a message for the community.
This was the first time we've heard from the parents of Tihari Knox, a young girl taken way too soon.
About my family. Turn yourself in, please. Turn yourself in.
Alexis Smith's message to the people that killed her 9-year-old daughter, Tihari Knox, while she slept in her home last Friday. Flint police say 230 shots were fired into this house on Altoona Street. Today, her grieving family called for an end to the bloodshed.
All this violence, this gun violence, this shooting, this back and forth, that has to stop.
And it's a young crowd. The young kids doing all this, stupidity.
We have to come together. My daughter is gone.
Yeah.
And there's just so many more people out here that lost their kids.
Because of the same thing.
Tahari's father, Tyree Knox, said there are better ways to handle conflict.
What happened to y'all get in that grass or something, go fight. You know what I'm saying? They want to come shoot people, house up at different times of the day and night. And we know people got kids that they own.
Police haven't made any arrests in this case yet. Smith is urging parents to do their part with the hope of getting justice for Tahari.
This family kids, they in their phones, get in all their business. And make sure that you know what they're doing.
Flint City Councilwoman Tyree Burns has been doing what she can to support this family. She says it will take all of us to bring the change that Flint needs.
What part of parenting is making sure your child is not a menace to society? That is a part of parenting, and we all have to do it. It's going to take neighbors, friends, family, aunts, grandmothers, grandfathers. We need our clergy involved. It's going to take everyone in this community.
The house on Altoona Street still had bullet holes in every direction. Shell casings covered the ground outside. The street that had been quiet just an hour earlier now had police tape wrapped around it and officers walking through the dark, trying to piece together what had just happened. Inside that house, a family's world had collapsed entirely. Flint police arrived at the scene and immediately understood the scale of what they were dealing with. This was not a single shooter firing a few rounds. The sheer volume of bullet impacts, 230 by investigators' count, pointed to multiple people, multiple weapons, and a coordinated effort. This was planned. Someone had talked about it beforehand. Someone had driven to that street intentionally. Someone had given the signal to open fire. The question was, who? Detectives began canvassing the neighborhood, pulling whatever surveillance footage existed in the area, and talking to anyone who had seen or heard anything in the hours leading up to the shooting. In a neighborhood where people had been startled awake thinking it was fireworks, there was no shortage of people who had heard it. But hearing something and seeing something are two very different things. And in communities where gun violence has become tragically familiar, witnesses do not always come forward easily. The family's account gave investigators a direction. The belief that the shooters had been targeting the teenage brother pointed toward a specific type of conflict. The kind that does not happen randomly, the kind that has a history and a trail. Detectives would have been looking at the brothers' known associations, any recent incidents, any disputes that had escalated in the days or weeks before May 8th. That work happens quietly, away from the public case. But as days turned into weeks, no arrests were announced. Flint police confirmed they were treating the case as a targeted attack. They called it one of their highest priorities. They asked the public for help. Anyone with information, anyone who saw a vehicle in the area that night, anyone who had heard anything in the hours before the shooting, to come forward. Crime Stoppers offered an anonymous tip line. The case was active. For the Knox family, active was not enough. Tyree Knox and Alexis Smith stood in front of their bullet-riddled home and faced the cameras. The damage to the house was visible behind them, a physical reminder of what had happened. Still unrepaired, still raw.
Welcome everyone. My name is Jason Wood. I'm an LMQ National law firm, and we have a local presence here in Flint. And we felt it was important at this time of uncertainty and tragedy to make sure that this family is supported. There's obviously a lot of uncertainty, and we want to see justice done most certainly. But there's also a time of uncertainty and unanswered questions. We want to make sure to be a resource to the family during this time. And I would like to, at this point, turn it over to Councilwoman Tanya Burns. And thank you all for coming out today.
Thank you. Councilwoman Tanya Burns, and unfortunately, we're with the grieving family. This is not only part of Flint, but this brings 6 more. This family needs your support and prayers during this difficult time. And most of all, move onward for the perpetrators of cowards to be brought to justice. When any person, and especially a child, is 9 years old, who was ready, mom and dad were out the way for trafficking, and someone decided to shoot his house up. This is your story. I'm going to let them tell it. And we're asking for the community, we're asking for the nation to stand with this family in this time of grief and uncertainty. I'm going to turn it over to the parents.
I'm not looking to say they were home, they worked hard, and they took it. Man, beautiful child, man, respectful, man. You need your world, man, on everything. So speechless, so heartbroken, for us, in that situation. If I was justice for the family, she deserved it, what? She deserved it.
Oh, she was asleep.
And we took all them to do this.
230 bullets in my home with my kids where they hid. I worked hard to provide for mine. This just tore my family apart. My marriage future did not deserve this at all. Come forward, turn yourself in. My baby deserves justice. She was innocent. She didn't deserve this happening.
I want to direct this to all the social media haters. You know what I'm saying? Stop speaking bad on my family when y'all don't even know what's going on and what happened. Same doing all this false stuff all over Facebook.
Shahari come from a good family.
Very good family. Both sides. If you can even get that together and start speaking bad about my baby. About what's going on in my family. Because it's not true. All the bad accusations, it's not true what they're saying. That's wrong. So you can be throwing stuff out there like at this time of year. And all we want is just for now. Forever now. Forever now. That's all I got time to say.
Anybody got questions?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's probably tough to say, but what happened that night for you? You guys were in the house. Can you tell us how things went down in the house?
First off, the kids,
The police chief on Monday said during a press conference he believed that you guys were in danger. Given that, you know, I guess, what are you doing now? Are you in witness protection at all? Do you have any concerns about the funeral next week?
We're safe. We are safe.
How was the 14-year-old?
she was on board, she was
Okay, how old is she? I mean, how old is she?
Do you have any idea why this happened?
I don't know. I don't know why they would do that. I don't know. It was unnecessary. There's no one here but us and kids. It's a house for the kids.
Sleep. Let's go.
There's no reason that this should have happened at all.
How many people were inside? I know it was obviously you two. And
5 kids.
So 7 total.
Yes. All of this violence, this gun violence, this shooting, this back and forth that has to stop.
And it's enough problem. Enough is going on. It's stupidity.
You have to come together. My daughter is gone. And there's so many more people out there that lost their kids.
Because of the same thing. So I didn't know. Same thing. What happened to go get that grass, so go fight. You know what I'm saying? That's why they want to shoot people and all stuff like that. Different times in the day and night. And you know what?
Stay on their kids. In their homes, doing all their business. Make sure that you know what they're doing. Sahari was awesome. She was smart.
I don't know what I'm doing, man. I'm so, oh man.
She loved TikTok. She loved to dance. She loved lemonade.
I don't know where I'm
She loved to do nails. She loved to do hair. She brought joy to everybody that she came across. She was a Girl Scout. She was a Rondell Bulldog.
Before these out there, you can just get an argument. She gonna come in there and do some part. She gonna make you smile.
She was like everybody like.
She'll do it for them.
They will do something nice.
She did everything. Yeah, broken my family. Sibling.
There's other ways out of situations than going to go out.
Turn yourself in, please. Turn yourself in. Justice for Tahari.
Forever now.
Forever now.
these cases, of course, you're asking somebody to speak up.
Yes, somebody, it's your brother, cousin, uncle, whoever it is. Turn them in. Because as long as you keeping them and helping them, you're going to go to jail too. Just make it easier for everybody to just turn yourself in. You take a baby's life for nothing. For nothing. Put the guns down.
I know it's a tough time for you guys out there. You guys are doing community support and all.
It has been awesome. They have shown up and shown out for my baby and my family, and we appreciate everything.
Is there anything else the community can do to help? Obviously, besides get tips in, but besides that.
Come together as a community and just support each other. Everybody needs each other right now in this time of need. Turn yourself in.
Services for Howard Knox will be next Wednesday. 11:20. We want to stay, everyone stay in prayer. This should better be in your hearts. We're talking about a young girl with so much promise. Her teacher, we spoke with her. Her teacher talked about, she was a Girl Scout, she ran track. She just wanted to really...
We were just there, she just won first place. Both of her. Yeah, all her races. Day before.
And just ask you, come forward. It's time to stop silence, to end the violence. It's time to end it. Let this be our last one. This shouldn't have happened. Stand with his family, support them. They need the support. If it's your son, if it's your nephew, turn him in. Don't allow this to go unchecked. This is not the way. This is not the way. This little girl has so much promise. And we looked at 99 shells. That's where the markers only went up to. And over 200 bullet holes are in that house. I don't know how any of them made it out. I don't know.
God was watching
Walking through that house, I don't
grace of
know.
God.
Every room
That's how they made it
was
out.
with bullets. Every room.
By the grace of God.
First floor, you get on the second floor, the side of the house.
God
Even
was
his
covering
face.
his family.
Ms. Burns, any GoFundMe set up or anything?
Yes, it's a good thing set up.
What is the GoFundMe on the Darren?
Howard Knox.
Spell the name for everyone.
TYHARIKNOX.
And it's a GoFundMe. It's obvious the family cannot come back to this house. It's obvious that this gun violence is torn this family apart. They need the community help. They need the help. We appreciate the help that has come forward so far. We appreciate the shelter space to really feel home for helping this family as they grieve to make sure they don't have to worry while we're looking for the cowards who shot this house up. That's what you are. Coward, coward. We weep. And we're asking for the community to speak up. No more silence. Let's end the violence.
You talked last week about what the city council can do, the city can do. We talked earlier. a little bit about, I believe it was a public safety initiative, or correct me if I'm wrong on that, but
You're correct.
yes.
Since 2020, I've been asking for a comprehensive public safety plan. We know that our children in the city of Flint, gun violence is a problem. 2024, we had 10 children who were shot. 6 were fatal. Last year, we had children shot. This year, and there's an uptick this year. The comprehensive safety plan will deal with intervention, prevention, education. And it has to get to the root of the problem. One of the serious things that people don't understand, why are Flint kids so angry? Why is this happening here? Our kids are poisoned by lead. That affects the brain. We have got to acknowledge what happened. We have got to. And we talk about how we change it. A lot of these young people who are committing these crimes were born into the lead crisis. And it affects the brain. We did not fix. It's not fixed. Our kids aren't fixed. They need help. And we cannot solve the problem if we're not willing to acknowledge it. We have a problem. Tahara should be planning for her next
The leg crisis has nothing to do with why the
she got
kids do
badges
what
that
they
she
do.
didn't get to her. Her next track meet. Her life is worth living. This family would be forever changed.
It has something to do with their oldest son. So they need to find out what is going on with the oldest son. We need to set this Thursday out. They were trying to get to the oldest son. So what happened in that situation? What caused them to come to that house and do what the hell they did?
Do you think this maybe could be an inflection point in all this? I mean, when was the last time you heard of 230 shots?
They have to talk to all the time. What was going on between this group of people and him for them to come to the house and do stuff like this?
I stopped counting the number of shootings at 68 now 3 years ago. And when we talk about it's an epidemic, we have an epidemic. We do. It's a problem. When I went to the house on Pulaski Street, it was very similar to this. But these parents, both of them and the family, they want to change it. They want also their children forward. They're asking for the community's help. They want to institute new laws. They're working with the law firm. They want to change. They don't want this to happen to nobody else. Grief is real. And their pain is real. It's real. And we're just, it's not even, we expect an uptick every summer. We're not even into summer yet. And we had an uptick in February. It has to change. And parents, get your kids. Get your children. Get involved. You can be their friend later, but right now they need parenting. They need parents to come forward. They need parents to pick. They need structure. They need values. They need guidance. That is a parent's job. When they get good and wrong, then it's what to be their friend. But they need that structure. Get involved. See your children wearing new clothing and you buy, find out where it came from. If you see your child broken your room, if you see guns, and these are long guns with illegal clips that are on them. The sounds of that gunshot, those gunshots you could not even count. You could not count. Could not count. And so we talk about parenting, a part of parenting is making sure your child is not a menace to society. That is a part of parenting, and we all have to do it. It's going to take neighbors, friends, family, aunts, grandmothers, grandfathers. We need our clergy involved. It's going to take everyone in this community. Everyone. And when people say, well, this happens everywhere. No, there's no other place that kids were poisoned, or in the world where they were poisoned and affected their lives. Our kids need help to do with anger. They're making bad decisions. They need help. But this is about Tahara. Justice for Tahara. Justice for Tahara.
They're poison. They got nothing to do with what these kids did. They're poison. Nothing to do with it. They did what they did. They had a conflict with their old son. They need to figure out what that conflict was and why they took the opportunity to do what the hell they did. They're trying to get their oldest son. They need to figure out what was the conflict between them people that came to their house and tell them they have 30 times and their oldest son. What was the conflict between them? They know what people did. They could have handled it without doing all this. There was no cause for them to come to my house 239. No cause for it. not fair to their kids. You got nothing to do with no dang dead boy. They knew what the hell they were doing. They knew exactly what they were doing.
Tyree Knox called the shooters cowards. He said it directly, without hesitation. And he was right. Because whatever conflict existed, whatever the reason someone decided that house needed to be shot up that night, none of it justified what was done to his daughter. None of it comes close. Alexis Smith stood beside him. Her grief did not need words. Anyone watching could see it. The community around them began to respond. Flowers appeared at makeshift memorials near the home. Stuffed animals were placed alongside candles. Residents who had watched the city absorb tragedy after tragedy came out again. Because even in a city that has seen pain, the death of a 9-year-old child in her own bed hits differently. It hits in a place that does not go numb. Stop the Violence rallies were organized. Community leaders spoke. Activists who had been fighting for years against the cycle of gun violence in Flint's neighborhood stood up once more and demanded that something change. They called for justice for Tahari. They called for accountability. They called for the people responsible to be brought in. As of the time the story was published, no arrests had been made. The case remains open. And somewhere in Flint, the people who fired those 230 rounds into a home full of sleeping children are still free. There is no courtroom to report from yet. No handcuffs, no mugshots, no defendant sitting at a table while a family watches from the gallery. As of now, no one has been charged in connection with the murder of Tahari Trinity Knox. No one has been named publicly as a suspect. The people who pulled up to that house on Altoona Street fired 230 rounds into it and drove away. They have not been held accountable for a single one of those bullets. That is not a small thing. That is a 9-year-old girl with no justice. Flint police have maintained that the investigation is ongoing and that the case remains a top priority. Tips have been requested. The community has been asked to speak up. But the silence from the investigation, the absence of an arrest, the absence of a named suspect, hangs over the story like something unfinished. Because it is unfinished. For Tyree Knox and Alexis Smith, every morning they wake up without an answer is another morning they have to carry the weight of what happened to their daughter without anyone being made to answer for it. If and when arrests are made, this case will almost certainly carry serious charges. In Michigan, a murder committed in the course of this kind of coordinated, targeted attack carries the weight of first-degree murder. The number of rounds fired, the presence of multiple shooters, the fact that children were in the home. All of it points toward a prosecution that, when it comes, will be significant. But right now, that day has not arrived. What has arrived is the reality that a family is grieving without closure, and a community is watching to see whether the system that has failed Flint before will find a way to deliver something different this time. Tahari Trinity Knox was 9 years old. She was not a headline. She was not a statistic. She was a child. Someone's daughter, someone's sister, who went to sleep one night and never came home from it. And the fact that her death happened the way it did, in a home that should have been the one place she was completely safe, is something that should not be easy for any of us to move past quickly. What this case forces us to look at is not just the act itself, but everything around it. The idea that someone can fire 230 rounds into a residential home, into a block where families are sleeping, where children are in their beds, and still be walking free weeks later is a reflection of something much larger than one night in Flint. It is a reflection of what happens when cycles of violence are allowed to continue, when disputes are settled with weapons instead of words, and when the consequences fall hardest on the people who had absolutely nothing to do with any of it. Tihari's sister Allison survived. She will carry the physical and emotional weight of that night for the rest of her life. Her parents will carry the grief of losing a child in the most sudden, violent, senseless way possible. Her brother will live knowing that the night was connected to him, a burden no teenager should ever have to hold. And the neighborhood around Altoona Street will remember. Communities like the west side of Flint do not forget their children. They put up memorials, they show up to rallies, they say the names out loud because they know that if they don't, the names get lost in a news cycle that moves too fast and stays too briefly. Tihari's name will not be lost. Not if the people who loved her have anything to say about it. If you know anything about what happened on Altoona Street on the morning of May 8th, if you saw a vehicle, heard something, know someone who has said something, please reach out. Flint police can be contacted directly, or you can call Crime Stoppers anonymously at 1-800-422-5245. You do not have to give your name. You just have to make the call, because somewhere a 9-year-old girl's family is still waiting, and Tihari Trinity Knox deserved better than an open case file. She deserved to grow up. This is Trending Tragedies, where we do not look away and we do not forget.